Like a seed, this episode started as an idea. How can we honor National Hispanic Heritage Month? As we developed the episode, that seed grew into a bud. The potential of what we were working on became clear. We continued watering it with inspiration and genuine curiosity. Soon the layers unfolded, revealing our true intentions. We are the flower gods, sowing seeds wherever we go, carrying the weight of our ancestors season through season, resilient. Also symbolizing happiness, love, celebration, sadness, death, and mourning. Most Latin Americans seek God for guidance when dealing with their emotions. Joe and I explore these themes as we reflect on a difficult year filled with love and sadness.
Julian, what is good in this very juxtapositious world that we're living through? It has been a year.
We're not living in it, we're living in it.
We're living in it, yeah. It has been a year, if I might say. Like,
yeah, it's been a difficult year, man. I also, we're what is it, about a month and a half away from the election, from a
possible chaos,
from a era defining election, pretty much. All eyes on the US right now. Make the right choice, guys. Make the right choice.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're not here to talk about politics, but we have a great episode for today called The Flower Gods. We wanted to honor National Hispanic Heritage Month. I myself am from Colombian heritage. Joe is a honorary Hispanic.
I look like a Puerto Rican, so they just lump me in there.
Yeah, exactly. We let him in. It's all good. He may not understand a lick of Spanish, but we.
No, I understand poquito.
Poquito. Did you understand anything that was said in the album that I put you onto?
Yeah, no, I got like 6 words. I can tell you for sure. Like, although I did translate that because of Google Drive, but there were some words that I was like, oh, I know that word, and that happens a lot when I listen to like Portuguese, Spanish, or German music. There's like 1 or 2 words. Oh, hey, I know that one. All right, well, for German, it's usually just numbers.
Yeah, and thank God for technology, right? Because now we can like translate things in real time, and
they got headphones that translate in real time now. Like they're like earbuds. You just put them on, and it does everything for you. The only thing it doesn't do back is speak it. So I'm like, well, I understand you, but I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it.
You see, you can be in a relationship with somebody and not even speak the same language anymore. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea, guys. Well, anyways, I digress. Joe, I put you on to De Todas las Flores by Natalia Lafourcade. This means of all the flowers. What did you think?
Oh, man, it was amazing. It was a trick of my brain. I love listening to the Spanish acoustic guitar. No matter the melody, it's going to just win me over with such a smart move. Even if you don't realize it, the album overall reminds me of a rainy day in New York City or back when I was in Portugal with Amy and just waiting while things progress. Waiting like a seed for the wind to push us forward to continue the day. So I don't know if you've ever been to Portugal, but it's an experience. You basically go everywhere and wait. Okay, we're going to go here. Now we sit and wait. I'm like, why are we waiting? Oh, we need to do this, but it doesn't involve you. So just sit here and wait. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
So maybe that was just your experience.
Yeah, maybe that's just my experience. If I spoke Portuguese, I could probably do a lot more.
Right. I've never been outside of the Western Hemisphere.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't like to travel, but I've been everywhere. I've been to China, Korea, Iceland, and I'm like, for somebody that doesn't like to travel, I've been to a lot of different places.
You're a true flower god, sowing seeds wherever you go.
Well, I didn't spread any seed anywhere, just so you know. You can't come after me with a paternity
seeds
test.
Of ideas.
Yeah, there we go. Inspiration. Seeds of words. Yeah, word seeds, Anyway, let me tell you, I digress. This album is like absolutely lovely. The songs are a mix of slow but brilliant art pieces, which is why I think the cover fits so well, because the cover is her literally holding like a statue head, and I think that's really great. And I think that the music that she makes is poetry, and I think her lyrics are poetic. And why, like we said, I know that because though I understood one or two words here and there, I Google translated that baby, baby, and I got to tell you my favorites. My first favorite, my number one, of course, is Vina Solita. Okay, so the first probably very wrong.
Hold on, guys. Vine solita.
Vina.
Vine solita, which means
Mm,
I came alone.
I came alone. Yep. Um, So I love that album, that song. For a second, I thought you were putting me onto an orchestral album until midway, where Nalita starts to have this passionate, full, haunting voice that takes us to two levels. It's a great way to introduce you to the kind of music that you're getting here. It's like quality, angelic voice, brilliantly arranged, but yet haunting, holding some type of secret. That's how I felt. It was like she's holding us back. She's one of those people, like if you see in concert, like I watched a couple of her like live performances,
Mhm.
and she has this face like I know something you don't. Like she's one of the type of person that knows when you're gonna die, and like her brother knows how you're gonna die. like, oh no! So maybe you don't want to run into them on your own. But
So she's like a gypsy.
like a gypsy, yeah, but like not the steal your money type of gypsy, you know. Anyway, gonna steal your cash. I did like this. This is a very brilliant mix of classic industrial music. There's probably not at all any synth. If there is, it's very minute, and it's really good for the brain. There's always that music that kind of gets everything functional and moving forward, and this is that type of music. Another great song is El Lugar Correcto. Uh, I'm probably saying that wrong again, and Julian's going to translate every.
El el lugar correcto, so the correct
El
place.
Ah. So this one hits hard and it hits on so many different levels. It has so many elements and it added the electric guitar into the mix. So then it fades into a piano on the underline as almost like another singer replacing Natalia, while she is probably the master of blending bossa nova, kumba, and so much more on this album. There's a lot of a lot to offer on this album. If you like those Latin mixes or Latin fusion, this is probably what you want to be diving into. And of course, this song is going to be the one that'll stick in your head. This is the what we famously know in the marketing world as the earworm. This is the one that's kind of has that tricky catch beat that's going to make you bump in your night before you go to bed, and it has the lyrics that are going to make you like repeat it, even though I'm probably repeating it wrong, and Amy was probably going because she knows Spanish more than I do. So for sure, it's like, yeah, she's laughing at me, but I'm having a good time while people are laughing at me. Um, this probably should have been my favorite, but what I loved about this one, it was probably the most poetic song of the album. And if I would have continued to study Spanish, because I did have honors Spanish when I was in high school, I probably would have appreciated this album even more because I would have been able to translate it in my brains rather than on the Googles. Anyway, the album, for example, has these lyrics. Sorry, I had to be away for a moment. I had an appointment to keep with my other self. I had forgotten how to see in a mirror, in my face, in my eyes, what lives in my universe. Sorry if I cried while dancing. I had old plans to deal with from the past. I'm like, whoa, that's heavy. Like there's so much in that one little phrase in the song
Yeah.
that like is weighted, and it's actually become one of my favorites. I've listened to it quite a bit already. And it's amazing how we can transcend languages. I don't know if you find this to be the same. Like if you ever listen to, let's say Rammstein, everybody likes to du hast nicht, you know,
Do. Do.
du hast,
Right.
du hast
You don't know
nicht.
what he's saying, but
Yeah, at first I didn't know. I only like understood 3 or 4 things, but um, my father actually was born in Germany, so he speaks some German. So and my grandmother spoke fluent German, so I remembered some of the words that she said before uh, the transition here to New York. But for sure, sometimes when you get those lyrics, even if it doesn't make sense to you, it still kind of works. But with the rhythms and it flows so well that it becomes this beautiful, blissful balance of bass tunes that just are flowers perfectly pollinating your senses. And that's where we were on that song. My next track that I'm really digging, and that is Maria La. Go ahead, you can translate it out.
Maria la Curandera.
There we go, La Curandera.
So Maria the Healer.
Maria the Healer. So this is the song that really made me love this album. Even though I look that second one that I just mentioned is on the top lists.
Yeah.
This one kind of blends the worlds of what I prefer to listen to in music. This one has remembering of Dead Can Dance. Like I put you onto them many episodes ago, probably the first couple of episodes that we did. So if you're new to the channel and if you're new to this podcast, please go back and take a listen to our first episodes. You can hear the progression of our voices and our podcast itself. It's a fun journey. Anyway, I think this is a bow to the gods of music and dance and the world's empowering the sway of the hips and sparking creativity of the mind. The lyrics here that are moving me most are "Heal yourself, mijita." I got that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, from the pain with the sound of the river, the waterfall and the foam, with the sway of the sea that comes and goes, let it catch you. So there's a massive, amazing backstory to her. And once you learn about it, it blends the space and time of tragedy and her overcoming it by any means necessary. Though this is her 10th album, that moment of infraction of her trauma doesn't leave. You can hear it in the memory of the haunting, those hums, I guess you could say, midway in the chorus, sharing with us all that she has overcome in times of trial. I really love this song. And again, this is a great album. There's another song that I really like. It's Muerte. That's right. Death, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See? So you would think this would be like a sad song, but it's super upbeat and almost teaching a lesson. I thank death for teaching me how to live and holding my hand tight, filling it with life. One of the big parts of this year is the unmeasured amounts of death that I experienced, more than any year I can ever remember, between friends and loved ones. This past July, I lost my uncle, who was like on paper, my guardian and godfather. And off paper, he was like a brother, a best friend. He was a source of guidance. And, we mustn't view death as a prolonging doom, but rather we should see it as a way to move forward and keep memories, because those things that have taught us, people that have passed, that have taught us, stick with us forever. And they mold us to be the people we've become. And those things we learn from our loved ones, we then give back to those that we raise. So this has been a year. This has been a very difficult year. But I put you on to some great tunes from years and years ago. Songs that I know you've probably heard, but you don't know the album that they came from, because in this world of streaming, you might be stumbling on it and not knowing where it originated. So I thought I'd bring us back into Santana, Abrijas. So you want to translate that for everybody?
It actually is pronounced Abraxas. I thought the X was like maybe like a Mexican X, where it was like like a h sound, but it's Abraxas.
Abraxas. All right, so I put you on to Abraxas. Abraxas. I did it. I went to Texas.
Abraxas.
Put you on Abraxas.
Right, we're canceled. Yeah, guys. So obviously, I'm listening to one of the all-time greats. As Joe said, he hit the nail on the head. All of these songs I've pretty much heard separately. I've never heard them together in an album. I didn't know that so many of his amazing catalog and the classics came from this album, which is just crazy. So in reality, for this album to come out in the 1970, my God, like this must have been just earth-shattering when this came out, because the way he blends rock and roll, acid jazz, Latin and African rhythms. I mean, if even today this album came out, it would make waves. I can't imagine back then. So this is what solidified Santana as a household name. Uh, I gave this album a 5 out of 5. Obviously, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna give it anything less than a five
You ain't disrespecting
for
the Bing, baby.
for fear of my life because
Yeah, Santana himself will come out of
because
nowhere.
we start getting
I'm
some
a black magic man.
right. Start getting some hate mail. You know what I mean
Yeah,
from
right.
people.
Be canceled.
So right off the top, the first song is "Singing Winds, Crying Beasts." I had never heard this song before. Um, And I want to say the first 40 seconds of this song, all I could hear, my mind was just being musical. All I could hear was, hey man, this piano that's playing, this would be a dope hip hop sample. I just kept hearing that over and over again. So there might be a flip, a dungeon flip one of these days of the first 40 seconds of the song. Um but the intro sucks you in, right? It's befitting of its name, singing winds and crying beasts, because the wind chimes are singing to you while the guitar cries like a howling beast. Then it's like a slow jam, and it paves the way actually for the rest of what we would eventually know as one of the greatest albums of all time. It really is like this, like I don't know. It's like I imagine like a band, not the house band, but that's the band that's playing at the front of the restaurant, that's like trying to lure you in to come into the restaurant.
Mhm.
That's what this song was, and it did a really good job. And then we're hit with pretty much one of the biggest songs ever, Black Magic Woman, Gypsy Queen.
Mhm.
So the first time I heard this song was on Guitar Hero. That was the first time I had ever heard this song. I didn't grow up with you know I didn't grow up with anybody who was like really into rock like that, and like showed
I
me
did.
the classics. you know and I know, and also I think because of when you were born as well, it also
Oh
kind of
yeah,
played
yeah,
into
yeah.
the music. But I listened to Black Magic for the first time playing Guitar Hero. This was the first time I heard it on this album, right? I don't know. I think it was just shaped differently in my head. And obviously, when we're listening to these songs, we're doing some research. So, um, most of everyone my age or younger knows this song either because their parents showed it to them or because they played Guitar Hero. While searching this song, I learned that this song was originally released by Fleetwood Mac. That blew my mind.
That blew my mind, even though I'm a Mac head. You know what I mean? I'm like, whoa, wait, what?
Right. So crazy. Or they had already written an amazing song, but it was made widely popular by Santana, and for a good reason. The choice of instrumentation and Santana's gar style, his Santana's guitar style, completely elevated this song to another level. Not to mention, the vocalist and keyboardist for Santana at that time was Greg Rowley, and that's whose voice you're hearing. You're not hearing Fleetwood Mac's voice. You're hearing Greg Rowley. And I don't know, his interpretation of this song. Again, I just think it's on another level. Then at 3 minutes and 20 seconds, the song does a classic Santana style flip. This is probably the part of the song called Gypsy Queen, right? Because when you see the title, it's Black Magic Woman slash Gypsy Queen. I never understood that until I heard the full thing, and then I'm like, oh, okay. So this second part where it kind of starts to drive a little more, the congas and the guitar take center stage. Um, you could tell it's changed. So I think this is Gypsy Queen. I may be wrong, but
It
man,
is.
I can't get enough of the song. I mean, it's just one of those that you can hear in almost any situation, at a barbecue, driving your car, relaxing, getting pumped. Like it really is. It transcends uh, just conventional music. I mean, I really don't know how to explain it, but it really kind of fits so many different moods. And again, just crazy that this song came out in 1970 and what they were able to do. Um, Song number three, again, you go from, like, you think that you just can't top that, right? And usually albums don't. They'll have a song like that, and then pretty much everything just kind of starts to decrescendo from there. But then we got Oye Como Va.
Oye, ¿cómo va? Beep, 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 beep.
Right. Another song that wasn't written by Santana. This was a song written by Tito Puentes, right? That was the
Mhm.
original. But once again, his rendition, and this is like a barrier breaking song. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you don't know Spanish, just like you just
Yeah.
did right now. You don't even know what he's saying. Maybe some people don't, but maybe at this point everybody does because they've looked it up or somebody has told them. But you're singing it. You're singing it. You're singing the words. You're dancing to it.
Mhm.
And especially in 1970, again, when there was so much discrimination towards just all types of minorities, and for it to become such a huge hit in the States is mind blowing. Um, Everyone, black, white, yellow, green, everyone can agree that this is a timeless classic. I never knew that this album rocked out so hard.
Mhm.
Okay, Mr. Santana. All right, so then we go to Incident at Neshabur. One of the things I miss about music before the 90s is how bands played with tempo and dynamics. Most modern mainstream music is humanless. I've always been an advocate for the music of today. There is amazing music being made, but now you have to sift through a lot of shit before finding those gems. You know,
Diamond in the rough.
so track number 4 embodies how important it is to feel music rather than try to fit it into a 4x4 box. This song effortlessly switches from a driven rock and roll to a smooth jazz ballad. And of course, always keeping Santana's signature Latin flavor, the perfect blend of American and Latino roots. So we have I'm going to skip through some songs. I'm just going to do the honorable mentions right now. The next song that I wanted to mention, the next and the last one is Samba Pati. This song really kind of has a special meaning, and it's really only had a special meaning for me within the past 4 years. And also, the first time I heard this song was about 4 years ago.
What?
Yeah. So this song, I hear. By the way, I hear this song almost every single day
Twice
because,
a day.
right, literally because my wife's ringtone for her father is this song. It's like it's like right in the middle of the song where like the guitar picks up and it starts doing like a solo before the song then starts driving more. And so, what she's told me is that this song and Santana hold a special place for her because her dad is from El Salvador. He's first generation, right? He came here from is that what that means? Did I say that right? First
Yeah,
generation.
first generation. Yeah.
First generation
Second
is
generation would be the one
the one
came.
born in the States,
Right.
but he wasn't born in the States. He was born in El Salvador.
Right. So he's first generation. He's the one that came here. Like
Right.
my
Okay.
wife's mom is first generation. She came here,
All right.
became a citizen, and then Amy was the first one born here.
So she's second generation.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's first generation.
Right.
He
Oh,
what does first generation, guys? I'm sorry. What does first generation mean? Can refer to a person's place of birth or their immigration status. A person considered first generation if they are first in a family to be born. No. Okay. So first generation means my wife is first generation.
Oh, okay. So
I
my
am
wife's
first generation. Your wife is first generation. So he
Yeah.
was
I'm
born.
not.
You're not first generation.
I'm
You
last
got
generation.
generations and generations of
Yeah, everybody been here for a minute.
everybody was born. They were born in America before America existed.
Some of them, yeah. They got shipped over.
Oh, damn. Well, these are topics
That'll come later. That'll come later,
guys. But for sure. So he comes from El Salvador, right? Pretty much in the late 70s he comes. So Santana's out by this time, and Santana's already popping basically. And so she tells me that he would play Santana almost every day. He had a vinyl player, he has his record collection, and every day you'd come home to the then she used to be Lopez. She would come to the Lopez home and everybody would be listening to Carlos Santana. That's what he would have playing. And so this song became something that was really close to them, and she actually ended up, this was the song that she played for her father-daughter dance. This was the song that they danced to, which I thought was awesome, because most people dance to some like romantic, like slow stuff, and they were dancing to some rock and roll, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty much the connection there, and it's hilarious because this song played for the father and daughter dance, and that was already probably I don't know, maybe halfway through the wedding already. And I don't know if you guys know, if you've heard past episodes, but Joe actually officiated my wedding.
Wasn't it beautiful? It was such a
Right.
beautiful wedding. It was a great place.
But he wasn't there though,
It's the thing I deal
which
with.
was the funny part. He was there. He married us,
Yeah,
right?
I did the deed.
And
I
then he was
disappeared for a
gone.
little bit.
And he disappeared. I mean, he was doing a good deed. He was going to the Greenville, what's it called? The
The
office.
registrar, so I could make sure you guys could be officially married. Because you can imagine if I would have gone to California and then, oh no, I never did that mailbox thing. You guys aren't married,
right? And all of a sudden, it's like ineligible now. Too much time has passed, and then we actually
Mhm.
never got married. So
Yeah,
he was doing a good deed. He was going to get things done. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to leave this for last minute. But the problem was that when he came back, he basically missed the food, he missed the dancing, he missed the drinks, he missed pretty much
I didn't miss the cake though.
You didn't miss. You didn't miss.
Oh, sometimes the cake.
I'll end it. I'll end it there, guys. So, as always, we've alluded to a couple of the topics that we'll be talking about in our disconnect session today.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, tell me, man, how does all of these topics, flower gods, and just the theme of love and death, and also national Hispanic Heritage Month, how do these themes connect with you? Is anything you can share with us?
There's a lot I could share with you, but it's a matter of time. No. So, despite my looks, I am not Hispanic. And most people come up to me and they go and say something to me in Spanish. And I'm like, ugh, and I try to like do my best. But when I was younger, I didn't know much Spanish. I would go, I'm sorry, I really can't help you. I'm so sorry. And they will go, stop lying, man. And, it would be a whole conversation about why am I not speaking Spanish? And then I have to break it down. So, though I appear Puerto Rican, and over the last years of my life, I picked up a few words and I did really well in school, but it confuses people at that point. But I'm always seeking to help, and I'm always get the job done as it comes to helping people because that's how I am. But when it comes to Santana, that was the one song that my dad, my mom, my uncle, my aunt, my grandmother, and my neighbors all connected with. Everybody at their backyard barbecue. So I grew up in a neighborhood, of multicultural neighborhood. It became predominantly black for a little while, but we had the Hernandez family. They were Spanish, obviously. And the first time I heard Oye Como Va was at his place. And he had ColecoVision. So this is how far back that goes. And don't look that up.
I was about to say, what is that? ColecoVision.
Yeah. So, I would go over there, play ColecoVision, have a banging barbecue. Their barbecue was dope because they had a whole different type of flavors in the foods, and I loved it. And I remember just growing up in the neighborhood, listening to Oye Como Va, having pernil, and going in and just having these wonderful, wonderful memories. It was one of my uncle's close friends, neighborhood group. And I remember he had, do you know what a cutlass is?
Cutlass?
Yeah.
No, what's a cutlass?
It was one of the dopest cars from the 70s, kind of like a police car type of thing. It's a very square faced car, very like rectangular. Loved it. So this guy, Tomas, he had this cutlass. And I remember him picking me up in the cutlass. And I remembered like my uncle was he was supposed to pick my uncle up too, but he came and got me first. And I remembered him from the barbecue, but I was younger and I hadn't seen him for a little while. And then he started playing Oye Como Va. I'm like, oh yeah, I know who you are. So I went in the car with him, and then we got my uncle. And that was around the time of Stranger Danger stuff, but it was like, oh, it's my neighbor, so everything's good. The dude was amazing. And it's an amazing chemistry that this album has with my entire neighborhood, because though I heard it first at his barbecue, my next door neighbor used to have the pool, and I remember spending hours in the pool, mostly African-American music, but that song and Black Magic Woman were definitely always on the repeat. Now, this is the time of 5 CD players, so instead of like a DJ, they would always have 5 different CDs, and then they would play all of them, so you would get like 5 hours out of it. So yeah, I'm bringing it back, baby. But bring those 5 disc CD players back.
Oh my god. Which
So,
took up probably
oh,
a
dude.
whole shelf.
So, like the guy's stereo system, I kid you not, since you've been in the disc dungeon of my condo, that whole table setup was that guy's stereo system. Like he had the speakers on the end to end. He had the tweeters. He had um the the disc player, the 5 disc player, and then on top he had the vinyl player, the final record player. It was like the dopest system, and it got lost in a fire, which is a shame. But that was probably one. And like the speakers were $1,000 each back then. We're talking like 1980 something. So
I mean, you could still there still are speakers that are
yeah,
worth
EVs will cost you
that are worth
1500.
that are worth even more. Yeah,
Yeah,
but you can now get. But I bet you back then you couldn't even get anything below
no,
a certain amount. No.
no, no. But my main point is, um, amongst the years of friendships that I've had, this album is the centerpiece of everybody loving, a music centerpiece that everybody loved. Even my neighbor across the street, my godfather, who passed away a long time ago, even he loved Oye Como Va and Santana, and this album was on his collection. So this music transcends heritage and peoples, and it expresses the like a seed. It plants the experience of Latin heritage, and it really grows in everybody's mind because of the positivity it has across the nation. It's something special when you can get an album and it transcends not only different languages but on the globe. Like I can take this album and play Black Magic Woman in China, and it'll still get a lot of love.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And they love. I mean, China, Japan, they love those rhythms, man.
Oh yeah.
You know, and they'll learn the lyrics too, man. They'll learn. They're probably better than Americans. They'll learn. They'll know exactly how to pronounce it. Um, you know, on my end,
You speak Spanish?
see, I do, guys. I'm fluent. I mean, I was born in Los Angeles, basically Little Mexico.
Mm.
I have lived in New York since I was 4 or 5 years old. So, I'm a gringo in that sense. But you see me, and I'm obviously from Hispanic parents. Both my mom and my dad are Colombian. Um, and my story is a little interesting because as you can see, I can definitely put on a good white voice.
Mhm.
And that comes just from from where I grew up, and I grew up in Westchester.
The best
Uh,
Chester.
and Westchester back in the 2000, back from 2000 to 2010, even till now, is predominantly Caucasian. Obviously it's changed now. There's a lot more Hispanics in places like Portchester and Yonkers,
White Plains.
White Plains, right? But
Yeah.
you got places like Harrison,
Scarsdale.
Mamaroneck,
But there's no
Scarsdale,
Spanish people. It's like, where are the Spanish
Purchase.
people at?
Right. I mean, you definitely don't. And I ended up going to school in Mamaroneck and Harrison. So, I definitely grew up not being represented. I grew up not seeing representation of myself. I saw a lot of what wasn't me. And also I grew up with a stepfather who's Irish American. So,
Oh.
it for a while, um so the point is, I never truly saw myself in the people around me. And because of the natural rebel in me, I never wanted to conform and let my environment become me. I really craved to learn more about my heritage and immerse myself in it. And this was a huge part of why I decided to go to City College as well, which is in Harlem. Um,
Which is
I,
now predominantly Spanish.
which is now predominantly Spanish. They tried really hard to gentrify it, and it sort of happened, but
And
it's
then went
hard.
right back.
It went right back. What I mean? It's not. It's hard with places like that. And so it took a while. It took a while, as you can see. This album. Made I should have known Santana. I love rock and roll, and so I should have already known and all of his songs, all of his albums. But unfortunately, I didn't grow up with my dad. My mom didn't listen to this music, and I grew up in a place that was really, listening to a lot of other types of music. And and like as I said, that rebel in me really was like, no, like I don't want to be like them, you know. I'm my own person, and that was a good thing because it really stopped me from just like whitewashing myself.
Mm.
And so, even before City College, I was I gravitated towards certain rhythms and certain cultures, and then going to City College was then just like a culture shock for me, because now instead of the minority, you're the majority. Everybody's
Yeah.
black, everybody's Hispanic, you know what I mean, and the minorities are Caucasian individuals. um and uh and so, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, I for those individuals out there like me, for those Latin Americans out there who are, possibly growing up with the same conditions that I did, just know that, like, there is a community of people out there who are glad to accept you with arms wide open.
Under the light, I'll bring you God,
Flower God.
flower God.
But
I spread it everywhere.
whoa.
Whoa.
And that's really what Latin culture is about, man. It's a mix, man. We literally are the most hybrid people out there. We are a perfect mix of European, indigenous, and black, or
Hmm.
African, Afro Latinos. We
Hmm.
are that perfect blend and mix. And as the term for that is mestizos. Well, mestizo is really just European and indigenous, but you have a lot of there's a lot of African, um, not just not just in our blood, but also just in our rhythms. Like, when you listen to Latin rhythms, I mean, these rhythms are coming from the diaspora. Is that how you say it? It's
Diaspora.
the diaspora. You know,
Yeah, I got his pronunciation today.
so, so, something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And uh, and it's beautiful, man. I mean, there's so many different countries, so many different cultures that have melded together and also separated themselves too. I mean, if anything, there's a lot of a lot of inter Latino racism that happens, and it's just hilarious sometimes. Like, oh, I'm Mexican and you're Colombian, and this is and that, and it's like, bro, like we're the same.
Hmm.
Um,
Look at me. I look Puerto Rican, but if you think about it, Puerto Ricans are European mixed with African American, like me, and stuff. So here I am, and
Taino. That is a Taino culture.
Mhm.
That's the indigenous tribe that was in Puerto Rico,
Right.
and they were pretty much all killed off. But anyways,
Here's a blanket.
that's another story for another time.
Yeah, that's another
Obviously,
podcast.
we're all
A
products
Columbus
of.
Day special? No.
Oh my god! But yeah, guys. I mean, that's pretty much it. I have nothing else to say other than just this is I'm glad that we have this month to celebrate and acknowledge, not only just Latin Americans, but just our accomplishments in this country. They sometimes they go overlooked. We work really hard. You know what I mean? That cliche exists because that's how we are, man. We will put our family on our back and still do what we got to do day in, day out, and probably most times get paid less than other races would. And we do it with a smile on our faces. And
Hmm.
that's really what defines, I feel like, defines that culture for me. And there's bad things too. I mean, that misogyny and that machismo is prevalent. It's prevalent in our cultures, and I mean everywhere. But we just tend to move a little slower when it comes to progressing past those things. And also religion, Catholicism being the biggest one. But people in Latin America are very spiritual, very in touch with God. And not only that, just our cultures and our traditions and everything is very mixed in with religion. So it's just like you can't really get away from it. You just kind of have to embrace it.
Hmm.
um So thank you for
That is all. Thank you so much.
listening. Guys, the tricks of the keys this
Mm.
this time around will be presented to you by Joe Dove.
All right. So the origins of the song are complex and include
He meant La Bamba. If you didn't hear through his
my
rooster.
very loudness. They are complex and include ties to the slave trade, African music, and the music of Mexican style of San Jarocho, right?
Yeah, son jarocho. So
Son Jarocho. Okay.
son means
Son?
it's no. It yeah, like
Oh, that's
well,
Sul.
no, like right. It kind of sounds like a mix between words, but son is like oh man, what's the word? It's an interesting word. Son in Spanish. No.
Like Son la Media, right?
It's a mix between genre
Mm-hmm.
and like style. Like son damn, I mean I'm having a hard time explaining this because there's no direct translation, but it refers to music. It refers to a sound, a particular
Mm.
style of sound. So what they're saying is the style of jarocho.
Okay. All right. Well, slave trade. Some believe that the song originated from enslaved Africans who escaped in the mountains of Veracruz, Mexico, and lived with the indigenous people. The song may be named after the Bamba tribe in Angola or the Bambaria, a slave uprising in 1683. So, the African music section, the song's rhythm, melodies, and harmonies are said to be the descendants of African music. The Mexican music style of son jarocho, which La Bamba is an example of, has African and Creole influences. Son jarocho, this part of the song, is the part of the Mexican style, which is known for the sound of Veracruz. The style's simplistic lyrics and structure allow performers to improvise. So there are two folks that made this song number one, number one, and that is Richie Valens. Richie Valens' 1958 cover of La Bamba was a surprise hit that reached number 22 on the singles charts. And then to the future, Los Lobos. Oh, I love them. And you can go back into the Disc Dungeon archives and check out some of those. So we did I put him onto that. In 1987, Los Lobos released a new version of La Bamba for the film La Bamba, which reached number one on the American charts.
And also jarocho in some Spanish usage means from Veracruz, while in others it means black person.
Oh, dang. So that was one I didn't know, but I absolutely loved La Bamba. And that happened to be a nickname of mine, Bamba, when I was a little kid. So
Why? Because your last name is very close.
It's close. It
It's
is very
close.
close. But
Pamba,
no,
Bamba.
it was it was because of my really curly hair, and I used to run around without a t-shirt and a diaper, running around up and down the outside. I had no fear or shame as a baby. I just did whatever. I had dilly gaff.
Well, guys, thank you for joining us today for this episode. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. This Dungeon Podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, we are there. And please leave us a comment. Engage with us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to, maybe if you have some songs or albums that you'd like us to review, we can certainly do that. As always, I'm Julian Valencia.
And I'm Joe Dove. Be sure to, if you're on Spotify, leave us a comment and tell us what you thought of this episode. And be sure to give us a 5-star. It does little of your time, but it does so much for us. Can you imagine your little interaction? It does so many things to move us forward. We appreciate it.